All right. My name is Carlos Nielbock, and my occupation is architectural, ornamental, metalwork, and design. The notion that we destroy everything and tear up everything, you got to take that 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 condensation that is laid up on you. You got to turn that around into a positive. And at the very first forefront, we got to reinstate lost greatness, lost historic property back to public domain. We got to look at what really was great here before. What is it that made it the Paris of North America? Where are the nuances that are this value creating proposition that you can rebuild? I did research of what are the most significant things here in Detroit, what they ever was. And without a brainer, it's the old City Hall that got demolished in 1961. It was conceived before the Civil War, but actually finished in 1871. And all the new technology that came out the Civil War, war mobilization, ironclad, making building structures, they are super strong. New ways of engineering found its way in this old city hall, which was a French-Italian Renaissance style building like the Vatican. And it had so much ornate sculpture and bas-relief and things that speaks of the greatness of America, of the direction America about to go. And it was like an interactive art piece where all births and deaths was recorded. It told acoustically the time. Back then you had a pocket watch that you have to wind up, and when the tower went bang bong, everybody pick out the pocket watch and synchronize. We're still Americans and live in the great American way, especially in Detroit, where everybody can do whatever they want.
That's the beauty, right?
Now that is the main reason why I never left right here. Besides making my dad happy, but to understand that you are really in the land of the free, the home and the brave. That's me. The original American coming here from somewhere with nothing and making something out of it what he find around. That's me.
The American dream.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I had so much energy that I see all the stuff around me and that I can have at it. You know, I don't want to make this wasted.
Exactly.
I want to make this as good as I can. That's why I'm still at it.
Love it. Growing up or maybe being raised um, in like a multicultural background, do you believe that maybe that provided a different outlook or aspect into your artistry?
I kind of fortunate maybe that I grew up where I grew up because I'm not tainted with the stereotypes that are indoctrinated into when you grow up here.
Right.
And so my self-worth was like super high elevated. You know, I know the stories from the kings and queens and the strifes and the struggles and what the Germans did and how great they was. And so I knew this because that is part of your culture. There's the history, you know, working with the history, embracing it and try to draw out of that the best for you, for your presence. And when I came over here, that nobody even want to know about history.
Right.
You know, that America is such a unique country that you want to get rid of the old stuff and you want to embark into new things,
All the time.
you know, all the time. But you forget that there are value in what other generation created. If you just can see it, you know, then you would not be that lost right now, because the option to be creative and do is getting slimmer and slimmer. We're not really getting a share of this economy, you know, and it's got to be frightful for you to see how prosperous people are. They're just coming from here. People that came here the last 5 years bypassed you with a finger snap. Having properties, businesses, making profits, feeding their families, being substantial in this society right here. You know, we still treading water. I want to draw awareness of the cultural greatness that people of color have. I got this DNA test done, I said earlier, it was 40% from the west coast of Africa. I studied, when I got this building here restored, I wanted to decorate it with art, African art. So I got some wooden sculptures like masks or whatever, didn't really, it just looked nice. But then I saw my first Benin bronze. I touched it, I felt it, I picked it up. My skilled trait as a metal person identified this as a lost wax bronze casting. For you to do anything like this, you need a complex artistry and craftsmanship to do that, you know, and it cannot be any worthless, jagged-edged type of art. This is really sophisticated stuff. Matter of fact, is identical for the restoration work that I did at the Fox Theater and at the Fisher Building, at some of the Art Deco buildings here, the lamps, the light fixtures that are ornate, and which are, this is my occupation, bas relief. And in the old days, even a teaspoon had the ornamentation on, a doorknob. There was nothing without ornamentation. And so to understand and study that and implicate that and replicate that when it is demanded, especially by National Park Service requirements and historic requirements, that's where my economy is. That's where I can make money and negotiate my wages.
Very niche-based.
That niche, right. So I start collecting. One thing came to another and to another, until recently I got my DNA test done, and that is 40% west coast of Africa. That is exactly the metalwork that I amassed for the last 30 years. I was in specific interested in metalwork from the west coast of Africa, because I know my dad comes from there.
It's kind of ingrained in you.
It's genetically. When I saw this guy, this blacksmith guy striking the fire, and I knew that's what I do, that's because my ancestors produced this metalwork. It was just exposure towards that. And things went in motion that saved my life. I would have been crazy, maybe alcoholic in Germany, if I never honed into my gift. You know? So I am, just like I learned the metal work from Europeans, the European way of metal forging and bronze casting and so on, there is an ancient African way of making the same beauty throughout the ages. And if you don't know about it, Right. So the the cultural heritage is synonymous to a Chinese, to a Greek, to somebody from Ireland, or from Africa. Cultural heritage is valuable just to everybody. When I look though where the connection is for the Afro Americans in Detroit, where is your cultural heritage? It stops with Kwanzaa and Kindercloth and the drumming section. Maybe a little dance, but that's about it. There are countless people drawing into greatness of that art. But I'm telling you, there's countless more art out there that needs to be introduced and shown and made available to the next generation that is coming up. Because once you getting old, what do you think who's going to pay your retirement check? Who's going to nurse you? Who's gonna take care of you? Somebody who identify you as the source of their demise, that you failed to put a good education in front of them. You lived your life happy, consumed all the resources down to the carbon footprint, and you did not left anything to the next generation. They're gonna take care of you good, huh? They're gonna set you adrift.
Exactly, right?
At the Detroit River. See you later. Sayonara.
The question that I ask everyone in this series is really simple. What does art mean to you?
Depends on what kind of art. Yeah. You know, there are such levels of artistry that it's 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 such a great economy that it is not as easy as the artist. You know, not one artist can build what I try to build all by himself. It needs many disciplines, sub-disciplines, and there are artistry within its own right, you know. So for instance, like if you make a sculpture as an artist, what that means today is that a person creates something from clay or any malleable, yeah, and then you you bring it to a foundry who make a mold from that, and then you make after you have the mold made, you can fill that mold with wax, and you have a duplicate of your clay object, or yeah. And then with that wax duplicate, that's where lost wax bronze cast technique comes in. You dip this into a buttermilk like substance, like a clay, and then you smelt out. You melt it. You make it hot, and the wax melts out. And in lieu, where the cavity is, you pour in the bronze. That's called lost wax bronze cast technique. And so you need a foundry. Then after you cast it, you need to chase it and finish it and get the surface correct. And then after that, you need a patineur that is colorizing the metal. That is a whole nother trade, like gun bluing, like a gun, comes in different colors, but it's permanent. Yeah. So to do sculptures, you have them green or brown or any tone in between, and that's a patineur. This is a real trade. Oh yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you want to kind of just leave with and let people know to wrap up? Is just a piece of information
Yeah.
or a message?
I think we got to. I'm gonna make an appeal, maybe not to just be satisfied with the easy answers. You know, with the easy explanations and don't take those explanations as a given when we are in this condition right now that it's not equal. Look, man,
Yeah.
there's only one thing an artist needs.
Yep.
It's a commission. That's it.
That's right.
So you hand out the commission.
Mm-hmm. We do the work.
You do the work. That's it.